And the money saga continues into the future episodes of the haves and the have nots. And we all know how I feel about that bullshit. Now, Jim Cryer. Okay, I will admit the next episode I am looking forward to his reaction and getting the transfer of $8. And I know some people keep messing it up. People like Candace gave him $8. No. $8.35. Let's get it right now. Okay. But in any case, yeah. So we get to the end of the last episode, the heavy lifting. And yeah, Candace has decided to transfer less than $10 to Jim's bank account, open a new bank account for Benjamin Young, transfer him $1 million. And yeah, so that leaves a little under 7 mil, because remember that $8.35. But honestly, if memory serves, it was somewhere between 8.3 and $8.7 million originally. So yeah, so basically, unless you count gift tax or whatever the hell that is, because remember when Candace got to $7.4 million at the beginning, back in like season 2, Jim scoffed at her about the whole gift tax thing, and I forgot the exact amount. That would have been left like 5 mil or something, but let's just use simplicity's sake. Yeah, so Candace still has about 7 mil on her. I still think she's going to kick some to Mitch, which makes sense because of the fact that he said, hey, I'm going to give you protection if he tries to come after you again, you and Benny. So you want to keep that money, you keep it. I'm going to, use my family name in order to scare him into submission. But we all know good and hell well that is not going to stop Jim Cryer. Me and Chandler had a very good discussion about this last night. And yeah, I'll just put in this video. I think the title of this video is, what is Jim going to do with $8.35? I think that's a pretty interesting title. So here's what I think is going to happen in the episode 10, Bananas Foster, which based off the episode title, I think is in reference to Madison and Jeffrey's dinner date, because Bananas Foster is a dessert. I'm guessing that, I think the synopsis that is on Wikipedia is that Jim plots his revenge. I'm thinking that at some point, the Malones are going to find out what's been going on, because of the fact that, if memory serves, Mitch got $75,000 from Jim in order to pay off his debt, in order for Wyatt not to be pursued by the Malones anymore. However, if memory serves, and I'm going to be using that term a lot because bear with me, some of these things happened months ago in our time. Some things have happened over a year ago. But basically, Wyatt had about $5,000 of drugs that he got high on and he couldn't pay for at the bar. And that's when he left Vinny to die on the bar floor. And Vinny was like, okay, pay $50,000 and we'll forget about it. So basically, he wanted 10 times the amount of drugs, 10 times the value of the amount of drugs that Wyatt had in order to pay off the debt. Remember that, actually, no. 40,000. Yeah, Benny, okay, so it was 75K. Benny borrowed 40,000, so that left 35,000. But then you also have to deduct the interest, which I believe was also 5,000. So 45 from that would have been 30,000. So it was 30,000 that Wyatt owed. Look, if I get the numbers wrong, I apologize. I know it's out of character for me. I'm sorry. It's just been like a long time since I even had to think about these numbers. But in any case, Mitch got enough money for Jim to pay both Wyatt's debt and Benny's, plus the interest on Benny's debt. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. And I think at some point, Jim is possibly going to contact the Malone saying, hey, I understand, and hopefully this leads to a Mama Rose conversation, because Jim needs to talk with Mama Rose on this. None of these lower tier Malones. Hey, look, I'm sorry. It was my fault. I got Warlock out of jail. He shot at your grandson. And I know that's why we had our own falling out. Like, you dumping Jennifer Salzin's body outside of the news station and all this. But and Candace Young was the one that delivered Warlock. And, well, then again, I don't even think Jim knows that. But maybe we'll find that stuff out in the next episode, when Candace and Mitch come into the room. Maybe we'll know. But here's my thing. Jim is probably going to have to grovel to Mama Rose like Snoop Dogg is groveling to America right now for apologizing for his comments about Gayle King. Yeah, that's a whole thing. But all I'm saying is, at some point the funk's going to hit the fan. Like, Mitch is using his name too much, and what I mean by that is, it's one thing to be a Malone, but you're not in the fan. It's almost like, you running around saying, hey, you know what, my dad can beat anyone, or my big brother will, take you down. And look, I ain't calling Mitch a wimp. I am not doing that whatsoever. The dude is like a titan because of his height and everything. But all I'm saying is, you're running around using your family's last name, but you're not really, associated with them to the point of being like a true member. You're just using your name to get perks and everything. At some point, that's going to come back on you. So when you think about it, Mama Rose might not like this. And, Vinny and Sandy Malone have been saying, yo, man, become a full-fledged member of the family and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking Mama Rose and Vinny might find out, whoa. So the black kid didn't pay his debt. You got that money from Jim Cryer. So Vinny's ass is probably going to be in fire again if this happens. If the truth comes out, you can make the argument, well, Jeremy, the money have been received and, all this and that. So what's it matter if they find out? Oh, and they'll find out that Benny has $1 million in his bank account. It's all going to come back. And I mean, I don't mean to sound like Hannah, but as repetitive as she sounds and as hypocritical at times, she is right when she says, hey, what goes around comes around. And yeah, she's right. Benny with $1 million. Remember, the Malones knew about the millions of dollars. Okay, they knew about the $8 million that Benny had in his account. So that's why they were mad about him not paying his debt, which honestly, he should have done that from the get-go. So they'll find out about this $1 million in the bank account. So I think that at some point, Jim is going to have his back to the wall, because if the Malones are working, on the side of Candace, then that means he has no other choice, because there's nothing he can concoct that can actually counter that, unless he gets Kyle to help him out in the Attorney General. I mean, while he is still the Attorney General, look, the Malones are powerful, but in terms of like the president, FBI and all, I think they may have met their match. So I think that this 835 isn't going to be a much for anything, obviously, because of the fact that this leads to the next segment of Hannah being the executor, because theoretically, if the lawsuit goes through and Jim is sued by Celine, it's almost like, okay, yeah, Candace, do the right thing and give Jim the money back, because one or two things will happen. Number one, before Jim can even have the money to do anything with it, guess what? It's going to be, under the command of Hannah. So he'll have to grovel to her in order to get any kind of money. But then on the flip side, he could lose the lawsuit, and then those millions of dollars could be given to Celine. And we all know how that's bullshit, because I've done several videos on the child support thing. Either way, Jim is going to end up with nothing. So that 835, you better use it to get like a 4 for 4 from Wendy's, and maybe like a 5 for 4 burger. I don't know. He can enjoy one fast food joint that he probably has never went to in his life. And that's about it, because that 835 is probably going to be taken away from him quicker than he expects. So I'm thinking that multiple things will happen with Jim. Either Celine's going to take him for what he's got. Basically, he's going to have to grovel to all these women he has put down and mistreated to Celine in order for forgiveness, in order to drop the lawsuit, unless she wins and just takes him for everything. Because again, last Catherine said he has nothing except for his life and the hospital gown and, sling for his arm and some morphine. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not the biggest Jim fan, but he could definitely use some morphine. The man's going through a hell of a lot right now. So yeah, you're going to have to grovel to Celine for forgiveness, or at the very least, surrender to her in court and Veronica. Then you move on to Hannah, because Mr. Jim is going to have to ask for a penny. I mean, for every penny, going to have to ask her for money. Then on top of that, maybe grovel to Candace, but I think Jim Cryer would rather eat his own, sling for his arm before he does anything like that. So he's probably going to have to, as I said before, grovel to Mama Rose to try to explain the situation about, why Candace is bad news and this and that. And then that's going to spark the conversation about Mitch and, him lying about certain things. So we'll just have to wait and see. Look, I'm not saying the Malones are the most wholesome people given their racism, and I'm black, so I kind of look at that with some kind of way. But I will say this, they do seem to be people of their word, almost like an honor amongst thieves. So I don't know how they would feel about Mitch conning Jim in order to help pay another debt. If it was just a white person, okay, I'm going to go there. If it was just a white person, they wouldn't care. But to have Mitch conning Crier in order to get extra money to pay off the debt of the black kid, I don't think that's going to sit too well. That's just my opinion. So with that being said, 835. My goodness, I ain't going to sit up here and act like 835 ain't a lot. Don't act like you haven't been there before. You get your Coinstar money together and you don't go to Coinstar because you didn't want the machine to take away the 8 or 15 cent per dollar it counts out. You dig in your cigarette tray and cigarette what is it? The cigarette tray? Is it the cigarette tray? I'm sorry. Look, I don't smoke, and I haven't even used the term ashtray in years. Yeah, you know the ashtray in your car. You know, you're going through like a McDonald's drive-through or whatever, get your quarters together, dimes, nickels in order to get a McChicken or whatever. So yeah, 835. My goodness. You know, it's Candace being petty. I wonder if the 835 symbolizes something like, yeah, you know how I have $8.3 million? Yeah, you'll get your transfer. It's going to be missing several zeros there, though. I can totally see Candace doing that. But I think giving them money, look, aside from it not being their money and me wishing it would be given back, I'm thinking that giving Benny that money and her keeping it is going to lead to a whole lot more trouble. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Jim is obviously pissed. And for anyone asking, no, I have not received the trailer for next week's episode, Boom Boom Bang. I believe that's the title. I don't know when. Look, OWN has been flaky on when they upload the trailers. It could be tomorrow. It could be Monday. I don't know. So I'm going to withhold my trailer breakdown until they upload the one because I like to get HD quality photos because there are several scenes I want to get close-ups on. Like, was Wyatt using a toothbrush in the jail cell? Looks like he's going to harm himself. And yeah, I just want to make sure I got the dialogue. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. What would you do with 835? And I'll catch you all in the next video.